Talking about spiritual need, one of my question, and as a pastor, is like, how much spiritual capital did we gain or lose through COVID? I know there was that time that people went and we were closed, and not everybody was online. Not everybody was. It was one thing for 79% of churches to go online, but the other temptation with people online was like people are watching a video for 1 minute or second minute, and probably they are back to watching football or back to watching a funny video. And as a pastor, I was feeling like, are we really impacting? Are our people growing spiritually, or are we losing spirit?
Certainly, there is a way the pandemic affected the cohesion.
Yes.
One of the questions showed us that even mobilizing leadership or members to do an activity became very hard. People became uncoordinated, especially in churches where their structures were not that strong, and so it became a big issue. Now, concerning the spirituality, I think during the pandemic period is church walls were knocked, denominational walls were knocked down in a way.
Yeah, that's a big plus.
Yeah, it can be a source of information.
Yes.
That our services should be online services.
Yes.
Should have limits on time.
Yes.
So that you don't do a whole sermon,
Yes.
but you can do like short sermonettes.
Yeah.
Short exhortations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one was
except that they say sermonette makes Christianette. That goes also, that also inform the whole issue about effectiveness.
Yes.
And I'm not disputing that.
Yes.
But I'm just saying that there is something to be said about 30 minutes sermon and 5 minutes. Yes.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. We need to avoid that extreme end.
Yes.
And also, give a full meal.
Yeah.
Neno lako Bwana ni taa yangu, imani yangu Bwana ni Kristo, azma yangu Bwana ni kufanana na wewe, maisha yangu Bwana yote nakupa, kwani ninatamani kuwa na wewe, 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 kuwa na wewe.
Another question was on we asked church leaders if there were groups that they felt they were left out.
Yes.
It was interesting that the groups that church leaders felt they were not adequately reached were the children, 64%, elderly, 70 plus years, 61%, and teenage group, 12 to 19%. Sorry, 12 to 19 years. Now, that's very interesting because apart from the elderly, the other group is young people. I mean, we need to put a focus on these ministries to be intentional. The children ministry and the youth ministry.
Okay.
So if there are sermons that are not tailored, customized for the children and young people, you expect them to listen to a sermon like the rest of the adult people, then we might be missing out on something very important.
What needs to be done as far as the youth are concerned? Because I understand that the challenge with the old people could be maybe usage of technology, the fact that they're not tech savvy. Yeah. But we have many of the youths who have phones and access to Wi-Fi or internet. Why is that that group felt left out?
I think there was... the elderly is more about technology. The children is because of also access.
Yes.
Access.
Yeah.
These gadgets, it's their parents
who
own.
Yeah.
To the young people, it is, are they on the sites where we put that material?
Yes.
And do they even come there? The main reason will be, are the sermons or the teachings customized to meet them?
Okay.
You know?
Are we packaging this
Are we
information
packaging-
in a way that
packaging.
is appealing to
Yes.
the young people? Yeah.
So you find that many agreed were revealing or showing that they are not given a lot of detail to those groups. And of course you know the phrase that the church that ignores children is raising up children that will ignore the church. And so when even during this time we need to refocus our energies on also the young generation. Because during this COVID-19 many things happened. There were reports also during this time about pregnancies. Although I think the data they were also giving was exaggerated. I don't know how the credibility of the data, but the point was there that yes, they were left out there. And again, if there was little or inadequate reach outs to them, then I think that's area we need to step up even now, because we are still during this COVID-19 period. Yes.
The youth had a lot of time at their hands, and again, there were not organized activities, sporting activities were limited, and I think that could have also had its impact on their morality. Things like use of drugs, even teenage pregnancy, and casual sex. I think something has to be said about that impact, which actually ties back to the discussion we had about whether we lost any spiritual capital during this time of COVID-19. So we now have the findings that the youth, the children, and the age were mostly the ones who were neglected.
Yes.
And mostly many churches were now ministering to those who are in the middle of their lives.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, as you put it, I think that's an area we need a conversation, an ongoing conversation at church levels. Now, the other one was on financial, the impact. I think you mentioned that at the beginning. Overall, in our study, 85% of the leaders we polled thought that giving was below 50%.
Wow.
50%.
Lost a lot of finances there.
There was a small percentage.
Yes.
3% of churches that say that giving was 3% higher before COVID.
Was higher. Yeah. Was higher.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. But again, as I said, 85%. Now, when we talk about adjusting ourselves and responding to the needs of COVID-19, it has financial implications.
I think these churches that must have had then higher giving must have had real online presence of some form of ministry going on for giving to be higher. Or how did they attain this higher giving during COVID?
We never got any qualitative data on that. But just they stated that, I guess because of online ministries, if they had vibrant online ministries, engaging, and I think the traction of their sites.
Yes.
Now, those who are reactivating their online platforms at the onset of their pandemic, I don't think they made a lot of impact, because then you learn the rules of the game. You need to bring people on board. Then you can be having 20 people, so you need to increase it. And then, but people who are already established, I think they were more effective than those who are just starting. Because then you've got to begin from zero and then move up.
This is Moment of Truth on Truth TV. We are here with my guest, Dr. Elkanah Cheboy, and we are discussing the state of the church during COVID-19, just in case you're joining us now. Very interesting findings of how the church navigated through the closure, the first closure during COVID-19. And Dr. Cheboy and shahidihub have gone back and done a research, and very key findings that are coming out of this research. About 79% of the churches were able to transition to online ministry. About 56% are able to continue with that ministry. 2% of the churches totally closed down, never to open again. And where there's no qualitative data, the church seems to have lost a bit of spiritual capital. And now we are discussing matter finances. and how the church was able to navigate matters of finances. Would you start by recapping the main data that you got in regards to finances?
Finances?
Yeah, finances. How many churches were able to, they received, about 85% of the churches you said received
Yes.
50%?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
50%. That's giving that's 7%, 0.53, though that giving is down at least 50%.
50%.
Giving is down at least 25%, that was 23%. Giving is down below 10%, that was 29%.
There was an interesting, curious story during COVID-19. I don't know whether you ran into a story about the pastor who sold equipment of the church to be able to fed for his family. And it became a big debate online as to whether he did what was right or not. What if the pastor would sell a keyboard or the drums of the church or the chairs of the church so that he can be able to fed for his family? And people were discussing about the morality about that. I don't know whether you found that story.
Yeah, I heard about that story.
Yeah.
And our next question actually, I think, revealed that kind of why.
Yeah.
Because we asked, what are some of the administrative challenges your church is currently facing? 50% said that their challenge paying salaries. 50.82%. Now, 13% said their challenges paying for their leased venues.
Yes.
So if a pastor found himself in such a situation, I'm not justifying.
Yes.
But it can be a very tricky position to find yourself in, where you're almost auctioned as a church.
Yes.
Because you don't have an established venue. Again, you can't meet salaries. Well, I would say it was extreme.
Yes.
But let's be also realistic on the other hand, that the realities of COVID-19 were financially hard hitting.
Yes.
Yes, in many ways.
Yeah.
But there are such kind of stories. And it's sad when we can go down to those levels.
Yeah, and I know many, even established churches, they had to cut down on salaries, they had to let some staff go. There were some administrative changes to try and make sure that the cost of running the church is within the means. And particularly for me as a pastor and coming to it was like the discipline of giving. I talked to a friend who is coming from the US context, and they told me that the impact on giving was very minimal. And this is because even previously, most of the people will give to the church. They would have made a decision how much they need to give to the church per year, and they have scheduled their giving maybe through banks or through other means. They would write a check. And because they are disciplined, they continued giving. Unlike our churches that depend on the physical presence of a person so that they can literally give in the church. And I hope beyond this that we can now raise mature believers who will shoulder the burdens of the church and do not need to be present to give.
Yes.
And they will have the commitment to support the church in a scheduled way that they will know is their responsibility.
Yeah, I think also on that is, I don't know if we need to have a conversation of having several streams of income as churches.
Yes.
Rather than just depending on collections on Sunday morning.
It
it's
is
unsustainable.
It is. But the church that I pastor even had that, but even the other challenge was that even rental income became a major issue.
I see.
And particularly a number of landlords had to bring it down. And for churches that owned rental facilities, they had to lead by example by cutting on rent and becoming very lenient on people. It was very hard time, but it came in handy to supplement, and for churches, they have to start thinking about going that direction as well.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that that's a direction that we need to explore, of having multiple sources of income for churches. But curious though about these churches that were able to even increase their giving during the time of COVID, I think a lot needs to be also dug out. How did they do this? How do you grow even in spite of the crisis? I think for me that's a very curious case that I'll be very much interested to know what were they doing to make sure that they grew in spite of the crisis?
Yeah, I think one of the issues is their connectedness.
Yes.
Because if you lose people, then that's it.
Yes.
One of the things also which came very strongly during this research was, despite that challenge, there was witness of churches in different ways.
Yes.
Sharing the love of Jesus
Yes.
in various forms. Prayer support, counseling. Remember there was a lot of stigma even that time.
Yes.
Even among even the families that had dead people who died because of COVID-19. No one wanted to go close to them.
Yes.
The regulations about how to bury were not also clear.
Yeah.
From even WHO.
Yeah, I remember the first time people had to use the what do you call this? The PP.
PPEs, yes.
PPEs,
Yes.
and it looked very scary at first.
Yes.
I think my first burial during COVID, I remember attending a burial of less than 20 people. For the first time, nobody sat down. We were just gathered around the grave. Everybody was fear-stricken. We were just did not know what to do, and within a couple of minutes, we were literally done, and everybody was fleeing in their own direction, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the church, I think, also was a pillar of light during the time. Also, there were church leaders who indicated that they were able to pay rent for people who were unable, because there were many layoffs occasioned by the pandemic, visitations, being with the bereaved families. And this welfare, having a welfare for the churches, for people, not just members, but also members in the society. But many churches also achieved that because of partnerships.
Yes.
About 60% say they had form of partnership, one or another.
Okay.
Even churches, there were pastors' fellowships who would have common meetings.
Yes.
And so that support system, I think, was missing in some cases, was present in some cases. So that partnership to be able to meet the needs in society, I think it's still paramount even today.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Moving beyond finances, was there any other major aspect that you were able to poll for this finance event in this research, even as we look to now going to the general findings and seeing whether there are some lessons we can carry beyond the first closure?
I think there was in the dailies, one of the days, that the church is the weakest link in the fight against COVID-19. I mean, I think that was a reckless statement. By the publication company. Well, our data showed that churches really were key partners in containment measures. They were not treated so, but they were. I mean, it is churches that offered support, the support system, even for people. In cases, in that cases, there are people who complied. In terms of when you go to every church today, you'll find washing points installed in place. You'll find temperature checking equipments. You'll find the
social distance.
Even churches introduced additional services to be able to space up the congregation. And there were many measures that churches instituted in place. I guess people needed to see church as a key partner because even giving right information. Some churches, some leaders told us that they have a moment of health talk in their services. And they explain COVID-19 and the mitigation measures and how they can respond to these issues.
I have had a number of pastors say that the church have been so unfairly treated during the COVID times. And I know the church have been castigated as the spreader. And yet we find in other forums and other meetings, that's where you find all this recklessness. You don't find these measures that you find even in church today. And the church continues to be faithful to today to follow this measure. And so I hope we can look back and see some of these things that we need to find out. Now, we will have time to discuss your second research in a follow-up conversation. But I'm now curious, even as we try to wind down here. So what struck you in this whole research? What what are some of the things that really stuck with you even beyond this research? Before we talk about who was able to pick this research and yeah.
I think what struck me was the swift response
Yes.
by church leaders.
Okay.
In terms of even going online, I think that was commendable.
Yeah.
Another thing is that the church leaders being able to lead the Church of Christ, the body of Christ, through this, it's a crisis moment.
Yes.
Every pandemic is a crisis moment. We don't know. There's a lot of uncertainties. And being able to make church. Leave its identity in society. Now, there are many areas of improvement, but you realize that this is a moment to learn from one another. What is it that your fellow brothers are doing elsewhere that you're not doing it in your own context, that you can be able to borrow and be able to adequately address the needs of the people around you. So what you see is that we are not yet out of the woods.
Yes.
The future still is unpredictable. And so we still need to focus our churches on things and strategies that can help us in such moments.
Yes.
We need to have strong discipleship cell groups. We need to have sensitization, even in our churches, and continue inform our members that we are not yet there. The danger is still with us. And I think as Christians, we are called to be also wise in dealing with the times. Now, about the pastoral ministry during COVID-19, I think there is a need to really reorient ourselves with new ways of doing ministry. We can't do ministry the way we've done in many years past. We need to reconfigure how ministry can be done, how we can reach people. And I think the focus now is, even many churches, there is some percentage of members that they have lost. They have not yet come. I don't know if they will come, hopefully. But what strategies are we having that we can reach out to them? Just like the way Jesus would follow one sheep. I think there is importance for us to really be able to see that we follow the flock of Christ and take care and protect. Yes.
Our personal story here in church is that when we went online and we were able to establish this ministry online, and we have kept it going, God have continued to use this ministry to reach far and wide. And I would want to encourage pastors to continue thinking of online presence as a witness of Christ, as a way of fulfilling the Great Commission, and that we are getting in places that previously we have not got to. And so we thank God because we have continued to experience growth both in person and online, even as we learn how to better package ourselves in the presence in the presence of media. And so that's very interesting. So who really picked up this research? Was it did it make it to the local dailies? Were there people out there talking about this research after? Did it inform part of the conversation nationally? Even as we hope that it continues to do that.
Thank you for that question. I think it was a landmark research.
Yes.
In its sense, when we launched it, the first research actually was launched close to slightly over 100 days.
Yes.
After the churches were closed.
After the closure.
Yes, after the closure. We launched the research. We released the report.
Yes.
In Nakuru, and it was well covered by media.
Yes.
21 outlets.
Yes.
Online and main media in Kenya. It was in the dailies.
Yes.
It was in the main news. Because it was data that had been well researched, and there was need for that information to engage. I know also through some quarters that even this informed part of the decisions.
Okay.
Even when they were doing reopening of churches.
Yes.
It was first reopening. It informed. We presented this work in many conversations. Many forums.
Yes.
And it continues to raise conversations. The good thing about data is if it's well done,
Yeah.
I mean, it
You can't
reflects-
argue against
You can't
data.
argue against it.
It's there.
It's there.
You have to decide what to do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we say that 79% people went online,
Yeah.
then the other ones who are not online, it's a reality. It's a reality. And these are issues we need to wrestle with and be able to see the trends, but also to be able to inform practice.
Okay.
That's the purpose of research.
Okay.
As shahidihub Africa, we believe that research should be able to inform.
Okay.
Yeah, it should not just be left out there, but it should create a conversation. And we are very happy that this ignited conversations.
Okay.
We are
And
very
maybe,
yeah.
and maybe somebody is watching and wondering, where can I find this research? Where can I find the document?
Yeah.
Is it available online? Can there be a way of reaching to you? Yes.
Yeah, it's available online if you go to shahidihub.com.
Okay.
You'll find our reports,
Okay.
all our reports. It is there.
Okay.
And also conversations around the same. There are many people who've written about the reports.
Okay.
And so they've given,
Sorry.
they've given commentaries on the reports.
Okay.
So from many angles. Theologians, others are not theologians, but they've digested further the findings.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll just not find, you'll find the report, yes, but you'll also find commentaries, people arguing, if there was a drop in the
Membership.
in membership. So how can churches
Recover.
if there was a drop in financial,
Yeah.
how can churches better prepare themselves? So we have those resources also on site. So you're welcome to follow. We're in also Facebook,
Okay.
shahidihub Africa, and you can be able to be part of this community. And we are very grateful to those who did the initial poll.
Yeah.
I mean, this was groundbreaking in Kenya.
Yeah.
And many people were asking, what were we using the information for?
Yeah.
In fact, many people are calling me and telling me, are you doing your master's or PhD? And
That's the only time we do research in Kenya.
exactly. And we are telling people, no. I already have a PhD and I was a lead researcher.
Yeah.
There were many researchers throughout the country we
Okay.
engaged in various denominations. But, it was also very hard, telling people to give us information about their denomination because they were thinking like, is this for you or what is the purpose for it? But slowly, people have understood the work of shahidihub. It is to create information, credible information about the church, about trends, and about societal themes, and how it can inform us. It can inform the church in our country. Yes. So we are very grateful for the initial group that were able to undertake the research. Yes.
Daktari, that's all the time we had for, and Daktari is saying strong devotion, strong sales group, strong online presence, focus on children, the youth, and the age should be some of the things that we should focus on now that we are seeing the receding wave of COVID-19. And we want to believe that for those churches that were negatively affected, that as pastors, God will give us the grace to be able to engage again. That would mean evangelism, mission, discipleship, to be able to recover any lost ground. And even financially, that we'll be able to even look for other streams of income so that we are better covered in the future. That is the state of the church during COVID-19, research by shahidihub Africa, lead researcher, Dr. Elkanah Chebon, who was with us today, and we hope to have him for a future discussion on a follow-up research that he did on the impact of COVID-19 on churches. My name is Reverend Haron Juguna. Thank you so much for finding time to tune in. This is special edition of Moments of Truth on Truth TV, a production of AIC in Njoro Town. Do not forget to Get in touch with us through our social media pages, AIC in Town, on YouTube, AIC in Town. And if you'd want to give to this program, the pay bill number is on the screen right now. And should you want the research that we've been talking about, go to shahidihub.com and you will find the research there. Otherwise, God bless you. Until next time, may God keep you safe. Bye-bye.
Neno lako Bwana ni taa yangu, imani yangu Bwana ni Kristo, azma yangu Bwana ni kufanana na wewe, maisha yangu Bwana yote nakupa, kwani ninatamani kuwa na wewe, 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 kuwa na wewe. Bwana winuliwe, pia waabudiwe.